Marla Martenson, and you are watching another episode of Conversations with Cupid. And again, I'm so excited. Have you ever heard me not say I'm excited? I'm always excited. Today I have somebody really interesting coming all the way from Virginia. And it's pretty hot out there too. We're just, whoo, that's why we're in our little clothing here, because it's like 100 degrees in Los Angeles and in Virginia. But this interview is going to be really hot. Janet Shakelford, hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Janet is a spiritual psychic medium and Reiki practitioner. I'm also a Reiki practitioner, so I love that. But she offers a unique style of reading because she connects with your loved ones, your guides, and in her readings she also incorporates Reiki and balances your energy, clears the chakras and all that. So, and also some remote viewing, right?
Yes.
So tell us, I'm just so excited to find out how you started this, what you're doing, how you got into it, how long have you been doing it, and what exactly do you do?
All right. Well, it started 2 years ago this month.
Wow.
I actually went to seek out a medium myself prior to my 30th birthday. I had gone through some rough patches in life, found myself needing some new direction as a single mom. And so I decided to go see a medium for the first time. Going through there, talked to my mom for the first time in 24 years. And my dog came through, Princess, and from there, ultimately, the woman who was reading me had said, hey, by the way, your mom says you can do this. And I'm like, I can do what? So from there, I started studying under many different mediums, and kind of, from what I've been told, I was fast-tracked onto learning, and it kind of brought me here. So it's actually 2 years this month that I've been doing this.
Wow. And did you start meditating a lot? Is that how you started getting things to come through? Was that like the major thing that the major catalyst of it all? Or
meditation is a huge key to it, because no matter if you're doing readings or not, you have to feed the soul. You have to make sure that you maintain your own energies, things of that nature. Primarily, it was studying under different mediums and learning how to kind of relax my mind and how to channel energy and things of that nature. And I found once I learned the on and off switch, it started to flow much easier. I do very much use meditation, try to daily, at least every other day, to meditate, sometimes ranging from 10 minutes, sometimes to an hour. It just depends upon what I'm in there doing, who I'm talking to, things of that nature. So.
And then what were you doing before this?
I was making cakes from home.
Wow.
I
baker to medium.
I was a stay-at-home mom for 6, almost 7 years. My son had a nut allergy, realized he could bake goods, so it kind of just pushed me into it, went to culinary school, and that's what I did up till my divorce, actually. So, and then I went from that within 6 months to mediumship.
And so you're making a living full-time doing mediumship?
I am as of now, yes.
That is really quick. I mean, there's a lot of competition out there, and and not everybody is into it, so that's really interesting.
And here I moved to Mechanicsville, Bible Belt country. They don't really like what I do.
Exactly.
But I've actually been very well accepted, and it's opening a lot of minds. So I feel I was placed here to really change some viewpoints, to help with some healing, to open some of these spiritual doors for some people. So.
Yeah, I use the board, I've used the talking board, and so that people immediately, the devil can come through, a demon or something, and they've heard Ouija boards. Hollywood had demonized it with the film The Exorcist in 1976, but it's just connecting. It's just a tool to connect. It's just made of cardboard. It's nothing evil about it. It's just it's the energy we bring to things. It's an inanimate object. So I guess all of these tools, whether it's meditation, using the board, using a pendulum, using your energy, it's all leads to the same thing.
Exactly, and I use a pendulum as well sometimes to connect with the angels or make sure I'm protected or clear energies or whatever else I need to. So
now, interesting about the pendulum, because when I started along this journey and I was trying everything, and me and my friend Julie, we went out and bought our pendulums. We each have like 3, and then we had one co-owned one that we practiced with. And I use the pendulum to check people's chakras when I'm doing my energy work, which is great. But then when I would ask questions, it would always answer. I found them to be off base. So I was like, this is bullshit. I'm not using this pendulum anymore, and I only use it for energy work now. So what's your take on that? Is it our subconscious, or what's going on there?
I think a lot of it is our subconscious. It's about, sometimes we overanalyze, we think too much into it. Oh, my hand might have moved, things of that nature. And what I have found is pretty much I just kind of relax myself as much as I can. And when I use it, I usually only use it with checking my chakras, opening somebody else's, or I work with St. Michael with it. Mm-hmm. So I only use it for really those 3 principles. Every once in a while, I'll use it for one of my own loved ones. But predominantly, it's just so that I have a basis to say, okay, they're in my energy now. I don't use it really outside of there, but I do. I think it's all about our perception, just like the board. It's about what your intention is behind it as to what manifests from it. So
when people contact you for a reading, do you do it on the phone and by Skype?
I do Skype, in person, and phone readings, yes.
And then when you're doing the Reiki, so let's say you and I are doing a Skype, session, and you're getting the messages and everything, do you incorporate the Reiki after we're off and do long distance Reiki, or how do you do it?
I actually do it via Skype. I actually did it not too long ago, all the way to a woman in Ireland. Oh. And did it as she sat there, and that way there's also that communication. If she's not feeling something, or if spontaneously something else starts hitting her, that way I'm there with her. I can guide her through it and make her feel comfortable as well. I do use a teddy bear for it. I like to have that visual effect. I know where I'm going on the body, things of that nature, but it's very well receptive, even through Skype. So I love that about it.
So you have the teddy bear sitting there, and then you're putting the energy into the teddy bear, and that goes into her, because it's just the intention that
But that way I have more of the visual. I know exactly where it's going. I can direct it exactly where I need it to.
So when you were baking cakes, were you into any of the spiritual path or stuff at all?
Actually, right before I decided to, and I'm going to say decided, but it was really spirit saying call a medium. I was actually watching Teresa Caputo, of all things. I was watching the Long Island Medium, and it just kind of triggered into my head, hey, call a medium. Uh-huh. I do have to say I've always been fascinated with death. I actually went to school for a while to be a forensic psychologist, or psychiatrist. Yeah. From there, I always loved being in cemeteries. It brought me comfort. It brought me peace in some facet, and I just always along the way wanted to learn more. I wanted to find. I was the girl that had all the rocks and the crystals, and we played with the talking board at one point as well. So. I always had a love of finding out, and I think it stemmed from my mom's passing. It was, what are they doing? What could she be doing? How could I see that she's here? So,
how old were you when she passed?
I was 6, actually, and it was within 5 days of her becoming ill that we lost her. So it was very sudden, and I had always questioned my entire life, was she still walking with me? I was looking for the signs, but I was masking half of them, which I think we all do when we're in that grieving process. Yeah. With it, though, I found a lot of joy looking for the signs, along with finally getting that first initial reading from a medium personally to me. It opened up a huge domain, so I'm very thankful for that.
That's fascinating. I'm also... Oh, we're getting a little feedback here. I think it's okay, though, now. Where I also am fascinated with cemeteries. I love going to cemeteries, and out here in Los Angeles, we have some really great ones. I'll go visit Marilyn Monroe's grave, Merv Griffin's over there, Rodney Dangerfield, Peter Lawford, Valentino, everybody. So the Hollywood Forever Cemetery and the one in Westwood, and I love going there and looking at them and reading, and the old ones in New York and seeing how old they were and when did they die, and I've always loved cemeteries too. I don't think I'd go to one at midnight and hang around, but but I also but I was always that girl too, with the playing a witch at Halloween, and always loved all of that stuff. And it's just fascinating, like you said, to think of what's out there in the universe. Where do we go? What's going on? Can we connect? All of these, the energy, and working with energy and Reiki and healing and the crystals.
And I primarily use Reiki a lot more for myself than other people. I always like to open my chakras with it, clear any negativity, things of that nature. I studied shamanism for a little bit. And I love the way that the shamans do it. And, you know, I practice with medicine wheels. I love to dabble in a lot of it because I don't feel if you just choose one, I feel like you're stifling yourself. And there's so many things to learn. And like the cemeteries, the ones above ground, I used to be fascinated with those. My kids and I will go different places and, oh, there's a cemetery, Mom, and they'll get rocks and they'll leave the rocks on people's graves to just say, hey, we're here, are the pennies, you know. Like, there's so much out there. Why, you know, block ourselves from learning more?
Absolutely, yeah. And Marilyn Monroe, she's in a crypt. She's not under the ground. She's in a crypt there, and people put flowers, and there's always like lipstick kisses on it, you know.
So cool. I'm gonna have to get out there and see it now.
Yeah, I can send you the picture of me in front of it. That's awesome. And so, did you start getting Reiki certified and everything just as soon as you went to the medium, and that's when you decided that's it, and you just dove right in?
To the mediumship, yes. To the Reiki, no. I actually just acquired that, gosh, almost 6 months ago, if that. That was not an afterthought, but I didn't realize all the other benefits. I thought it was just a form of healing. I didn't realize that I could use it on myself or, you know, I wasn't really sure about it.
So what are some of the other benefits? Because I know people, a lot of people haven't heard of it, or they're not sure what it is, or they don't believe in it. Like you're in the Bible Belt. I've had some Christians tell me, well, I don't believe in it. And it's like, well, there's nothing really to believe. It's just, well, they don't believe that it should be done, or it's not right, or I don't know what the block there is, but.
Medicine. That's my first thought with it. It's very holistic. I mean, you literally go in with your hands. You allow yourself to be a direct channel of godly energy, of Reiki energy. You know, it's centuries and centuries old. Those that have the symbols, they do not share them. Things of that nature. I mean, you actually have to put the intent behind it. The way that I always use it is, I help people unblock things from past lives, from past childhood, even in the present day. I help them to balance their chakras, which are our energy centers. A lot of people don't know about. Your chakras are attached to organs. They're attached to muscles. They're attached to everything. And when they're off balance, that's where a lot of our physical ailments and illnesses come from. I also go in just to give people spiritual healing. Those who are not connected, I call upon the angels. A couple different things that I've been told as I'm doing it. Sometimes I'll just lay hands. Sometimes I don't. I just let the heat come from my hands. What I've been told not too long ago, a woman said it felt as though my body stepped in front of her as I was behind her, pushing it in from both sides. There's, I like to say, a magical sense about it, which a lot of people might not agree with that word, but I do. I find it magical when you can come together with Source, with God, with the angels, with the Reiki masters above us, to the Ascended Masters, and you pull in all these worldly energies to bring healing. You know, it helps with arthritis. It can help with broken bones if need be for setting, or faster healing, or heart problems. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but modern day is medicine. Take something to mask it. This is, let us work through it. It might be I'm sorry.
It's going to the root.
Yes, to the root of it. And it might not happen the first time. We might have to do it again. But the intent always behind it is to bring in other energies, other sources to help with this.
Yeah, and they're using this in hospitals now across the country. I have a friend who is the head Christian chaplain at Cedars-Sinai, and they sent her to become a Reiki master so that she could use it in the hospital. It's amazing.
So we're getting there. It's expanding.
Yes, it's expanding. Instead of just handing, it's true. If I whenever I've gone to the doctor or my mom or anything for something, the first thing is here's a prescription, here's a sample, it's just drugs right away without any question. What's going on in your life? How are you eating? How are you sleeping? You know, none of that. It's just like, okay, here you go. Here's a prescription. I know traditional medicine has its place, and we couldn't do without it for certain things, but my first choice is always a holistic practitioner. Yeah.
Wow, because like I said, I didn't know what Reiki was at first. It actually was a woman that I met last year that kind of changed my whole view about it. And the first time she did Reiki on me, I remember I felt the waves coming into my head, and I was like, what is going on? And she's at my head. I felt somebody at my feet, and I'm like, okay, just embrace it, Janet. And then I did, and I walked out of there feeling like $1,000,000. It was like anything that was on me negative or just lingering, I felt so alive and just fresh. So
yeah, I gave somebody a session yesterday, and she did. She said, "Oh my, I could feel it everywhere. Everything was tingling, and and I felt it coming through me so strong. I started crying. I'd never had that happen before, but the energy was just coming down like crazy. So must have been clearing something major. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
it was awesome. And so your mother's gone. What about your father?
My father is still in the living. He's very accepting of this, more so than I thought he would, because I was raised very Catholic, as Catholic as you can get. And, Catholic school, to my grandmother is a devout, this was big for me to kind of tell my family. And actually, when I told my dad, he goes, I've been having dreams about your mom for the last 6 months. She keeps coming to visit me. And in that moment, I was like, I knew it was the right time to tell him. So I think she kind of prepped him for it from spirit side.
And he's like, what? You're not baking cakes anymore?
Well, at first he's like, okay, I understand, but I don't understand. And then recently I was like, he's coming to visit. And I was like, I have my own space now. I'm seeing people regularly. And he's like, okay. So
as long as you're happy and the people like it, right?
Yeah, that's my viewpoint. I don't take what anybody says to heart. I'm like, everybody's, entitled to their opinion, and I'm not here to change it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I think you bring, comfort to a lot of people. It's the toughest thing is to lose a loved one, and we want to know that they're okay. And so when you give these direct messages that nobody else could know about, these details, then it's a real confirmation.
I feel that, and I like to consider myself an evidential, meaning that I give you the evidence, whether that be months of significance, birthdays, anniversaries, names, dates. If I am remote viewing and I'm describing your grandma's house to, down to the doilies on the table, I like to give you that so oh my gosh, this isn't just an I love you message. This is she's back in grandma's house, smelling grandma's cookies to whatever it may be. And I feel with it that it gives people more solidarity to say, okay, that can't be her. It has to be somebody else.
Yes.
And I have found with that, a lot of people come in not sure what to expect. And that's why I've titled my business Messages with Love from Above, because I go in with the intent of love. There is no animosity. There is no judgment on spirit side. When these come through, don't worry about what you did bad last week. Just go in with an open mind, because they're going to give you what you need, not what you want to hear. It's always what they know you need in that moment.
And what do you think about? So some of us will reincarnate, some don't. So what do you think? What if somebody has reincarnated, but is part of their spirit still back on the other side, and that's who connects with you? What's your take on that?
My take on that is, say your grandmother passed away, and say that the last person she met in your family was, I don't know, your son. She would stay on spirit side until your son crossed over to make sure that everybody has somebody to meet them on spirit side. At that point, then she would reincarnate. That is my take on it.
Okay.
I love that, because I feel everybody needs to know you will have another chance to see these people. You will have another chance to greet them, to hug them. Now, not everybody's perception is of that, but I love that. I love knowing that they'll be there. They'll wait for us. They will get to say hi to all of us again.
I always wonder about, let's say you're married to the love of your life, and then your husband dies, and then you marry somebody else, and he's just as fantastic, and then he dies, and then you die, and then you just, like all three, reunite?
Again,
I'm a matchmaker, so I've got to ask about this.
Honestly, I feel there's no judgment on spirit side. When you go to greet both of them, it would just be an open arms welcome, truly of love.
That's great. Yeah, I was like, oh gosh, how is that going to go down?
So who's going to get the first hug, right?
And so, because I am a matchmaker, and people there, I'll bet the biggest questions that people come to you that always want to know about career and the love life, right? Those two are the major things. And when will I find somebody? And I listen to Hay House Radio and people calling in to James Von Prague and Rodley Valentine and Doreen Virtue and all that, and all the questions. Do you see a man in my future? And it's not the men calling, hey, is there any women coming in for me soon? It's always the women. When is my love coming? And so I'm always like, oh, it's just such a, when you're single and a woman, we just love and we want to have that special person and that soulmate, and it's something that's always on the forefront. And then with law of attraction, I'm always think they're pushing it away because that's so, they're like, thinking about it too much. But what do you do to help these people? Do you get a lot of that? Like they want to know about the soulmate? Like what can you do to help them?
My, first of all, when I do my forecasting, is what I call it, it's only 6 months out. If I were to give you anything 3 years from now, it would be very specific to a T, because psychism is free will. I can tell you something right now, tell you what spirit is telling you to do, and you don't do it, it's not going to happen as though spirit told you to do it. And a lot of people misconstrue that. They don't understand truly how psychism works. Well, you'll have those people, well, they said that this was going to happen. I'm like, well, did you do this, and no? Okay, well, they're not going to deliver if you don't deliver the work. When it comes to love, yes, I get this. I'm waiting. Where is he?
I was told Jim is going to be here next year in February.
Yeah, but did you also work on you? A lot of people don't realize that when it comes to love, if we don't love ourselves, Spirit is not going to give us somebody to love us. Because we have to work on our inner self or our inner child or just that true loving of oneself. And when we put this intention out into the world, if we're looking for a soulmate, half of us don't know what we're looking for. We have to be specific. You have to have a guideline what you're looking for. And I'd like to quote Steve Harvey of all people, but he said, how can you be upset if a relationship doesn't work out if you have no idea what it is you're looking for?
And that means besides being 6 feet tall and making $1 million a year and looking like George Clooney, right? I mean, that's like everybody has that picture in their mind.
Yeah, and it's more about what are you looking for? Do you want somebody to love you, adore you? Do you want both? Loving and adoring.
The qualities and how you want your life, right? Not the qualities that you can't put a tangible.
Exactly. And you have to be able to say to yourself, what do I deserve? And a lot of people don't do that. They just want something sustainable for the moment. They don't care about what they truly deserve. And so my take on it always is, my guides usually take me into the person's life. What is it that they're lacking? What are they missing? What is it that can benefit them on a higher level? So I feel love is out there for everybody, but the first work, it comes for us. Are we holding on to a past relationship? That's a huge one that comes up a lot. They're usually stuck on the past.
And I'll tell you, because I get feedback after dates, and the guys will say, a lot of times all she did was talk about her ex. Yep. So obviously, if you're still thinking that much that you're going to talk all night, it was like a therapy session. They say I paid for a $200 dinner at a nice place, and they treated me like a therapist.
Yeah, that's never good.
Never good. So yeah, working on yourself. Don't you also think? So we want this kind of person. We want to think not only what we deserve, but what do we bring to the table, right?
Yes, too. And a lot of people don't ever look at that. When I say you have this, this, and this, and Spirit's saying this is something that you should implement more, well, why? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of us, I want to say society as a whole, we don't look at the broader picture. We only look about right here, what can get us there, and how can we hold on to it, even if it's not what we want.
Yeah,
it's abnormal to be alone anymore. Mm-hmm. It's not a thing. It's not a fad. And you're right, 100%. You've got to see what can you change about you, or what do you have to offer. It's a give and a take, and people have to understand that.
And I always say, would you date you? Like, what are your good qualities, and what do you have to work on? And we don't have to be perfect, but I always say, if you're in debt, clean that up. If you need to get more toned up or healthy, freshened up your looks or whatever, do that. I know women a lot, they'll say, well, he should love me for me. He should love me for the way I am. But I always say men are visual. We're just human. They're humans. So you've got to look as good as you can to attract, like a butterfly, like a flower. They want to come, ooh, she looks pretty.
I totally agree with that.
All right. Well, Janet, thank you. This was a fascinating conversation, and we'll have to do another one real soon. And everybody, if you have any questions for Janet, just put the questions below in the comments. And then when we talk to her again, we'll ask them. And I'll put all her links if you want to work with her or talk to her. I think you should do it. Consider it. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.